Is the Eternals movie too worried about a political agenda? Why was Salma Hayek's mind blown after being offered the starring role?
It felt like they were punking me.
And which MCU character's appearance was cleverly teased in the trailer? Let's get down to business. Groundbreaking casting. The Marvel franchise is a literal game changer, and it wields the power to turn any actor into a box office draw. So it's great to know that Eternals will feature cast members from all walks of life, many of whom are just getting started. Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie will bring some star power to the proceedings, but it's the rising stars who are grabbing the headlines for the right reasons. Brian Tyree Henry, for example, will play the first openly gay superhero in the MCU. It's even been reported that the movie will feature a kissing scene, which made the cast members cry with happiness. But Brian is really stoked about playing a black superhero who will hopefully resonate with others just like him who want to feel seen on the big screen.
I am incredibly grateful to Marvel for allowing me to play a character that reflects me back to me.
Lauren Ridloff, meanwhile, is the first deaf actor to join the blockbuster franchise. Lauren has already made quite the name for herself thanks to her performance in The Walking Dead, but the MCU will launch her into the stratosphere. It took her a minute to realize that the dream role was genuinely happening, though.
I was in denial basically up until Comic-Con last month, because that's when I actually literally signed the contract.
Throw in Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, and several other up-and-coming sensations, and what you have is a stacked cast with a worldly appeal. The goal with Eternals was to make every audience member important, and the casting decisions reflect that mentality. Now, some of you might be worried about Marvel shoving a political agenda on audiences with the movie, but that's not the case at all. At least, not according to Salma Hayek. The Oscar winner revealed that the Eternals isn't about diversity for the sake of being diverse, but she's also delighted to be a part of a blockbuster that offers something for everyone.
I feel very honored to be a part of a movie that is going to allow people who never felt represented in superheroes, or in this case, Eternals, represented.
That being said, Salma's inclusion in the movie could have an even bigger impact on the movie industry. Who's too old to play superheroes? Let's face it, Hollywood has a tendency to cast the young bucks as the leads in billion-dollar flicks about cosmic crusaders.
Thank you guys for having me.
However, while Robert Downey Jr. and a few others have proven to be an exception to that rule, seeing women in their 50s be front and center in these blockbusters is even rarer.
You have to tell me what's going on.
Chloe Zhao wasn't having any of that nonsense with Eternals, which is why she cast Salma Hayek as Ajax. Salma's role in Eternals is going to be one of the most important in Hollywood this year, and it has the potential to knock down some barriers. Check out what the director had to say on the matter in an interview with Variety. Ageism in Hollywood is a very concerning issue that we must stand against as artists. Aging is a beautiful part of life that should be celebrated. It's really an honor for us to have Salma to lead the Eternals family. Salma was also shocked to be offered the part. At first, she assumed that they were gonna ask her to play someone's mother, so she was over the moon when she learned that she was gonna get to steal the show.
To be an action hero, being Mexican, a woman, and my age, it felt like they were punking me.
But anyone who's familiar with Salma's work knows that she's more than capable of kicking that ass. Don't be shocked when she beats up some Celestials in Eternals. However, there was one star who went above and beyond to prove that he could be an action star in his own right. An extreme body transformation. Before Kumail Nanjiani joined the MCU, he was known for playing lovable nerds in shows like Silicon Valley.
It's me, Pakistani Denzel.
He did get to flex his muscles in Struber and the Lovebirds, but no one was buying him as the next Dave Bautista. Heading into the Eternals, however, Kumail decided that it was time to get shredded and become the MCU's next hunky hero. So he began a year-long workout routine that turned him into the human version of a celestial being.
And I wanted to look like someone who could believably hang with Thor or Captain America. So I knew that I had to really transform my body.
And here I am, sitting here wishing that I could stop eating so much cake. It's gonna be exciting seeing Kumail solidify himself as a bona fide action maverick, but let's not go into Eternals expecting just another pixelated blockbuster that only cares about thrills. Not another Marvel movie. Anyone who says every MCU movie is the same is more delusional than Thanos.
I am inevitable.
The franchise has never shied away from letting directors bring their own style to the table. Just look at Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, and Thor Ragnarok if you need further proof.
I choose to run toward my problems and not away from them. That's what.
And it's neat to know that Eternals will continue the trend of trusting talented filmmakers with the keys to the kingdom. All you have to do is watch the trailer and see that the Eternals' visual style isn't all that different from Chloe Zhao's other movies like Nomadland and The Rider. And that's because the special effects are being kept to a minimum in this particular superhero extravaganza. According to Marvel producer Kevin Feige, Chloe begged him to let her use practical locations. They were more than happy to let her do her thing after she showed them a sample reel featuring sunsets, roaring waves, and cliffs. Chloe has kept most of the information about Eternals close to the vest in recent months, but here's what she had to say about bringing her signature style to the MCU.
There's a little bit more homage to the things I've done before in Eternals, and just November.
But what was it about a superhero movie that appealed to a filmmaker whose previous movies have all focused on the more intimate aspects of humanity? Well, Chloe felt that she could combine fantastical action and grandiose spectacle with a story that's still profoundly human. Hear all about it for yourself.
They knew from the moment I pitched the film, I really wanted to, the scope and the scale at the same time, the intimacy.
Eternals could do for celestial beings what Nomadland did for Amazon workers, but will it become the first Marvel movie to win Best Picture? That remains to be seen. Still, we've seen enough footage to know that viewers are in for a treat with this movie. A surprise cameo? The Eternals trailer left us with a million burning questions, but that's what all teasers should do. However, let's try and answer a couple of them just for fun. Did you notice the Gates of Babylon? That clip more or less confirms that the mighty warlord Crow will feature in some capacity, most probably as the big bad. He has an interesting history with the Eternals in this city. In the comics, Crow and Thena began their ill-fated romance in Babylon, and it will be fascinating to see if that history is covered in the movie. Of course, it's more than likely that the legacy of these characters will be explored quite significantly in the MCU. What's arguably more interesting, however, is how the sequel sets up the future of the franchise. Eagle-eyed viewers might have spotted a very Moon Knight-looking uniform hanging from the ceiling in one of the trailer's quieter moments. Maybe the Eternals just picked this up on the travels, but since we know that Moon Knight will appear in the MCU in the near future, his presence could be felt in this movie. And with all of the cosmic wizardry on display, don't be surprised to see an inroad for the Fantastic Four to finally enter this franchise. Marvel has certainly got us speculating, but let us know what you think. And if you want to see more Marvel videos, I highly recommend checking out these WandaVision Easter eggs.